tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Welcome to Dharma for Kids. My name is Lisa, and I'm going to tell you a story about some farm animals, a story that the Buddha told over 2,000 years ago. And afterward, I'll talk a little about what we can learn from the story. So let's get ready to hear the story by relaxing our body and relaxing our mind, taking some deep breaths, and then we can pay attention better. So let's start by putting our right hand in our left palm like this, and putting it on our lap. And sitting up nice and tall, stretching our head toward the ceiling, but looking straight ahead. And relaxing our shoulders, letting our arms and hands feel heavy. And we breathe in, feeling air going in the nose. Breathing out, we feel air going out the nose. Air going in the nose. Air going out of the nose. In and out. In and out. Okay, before we start the story, I want to ask you a question. Can you remember a time when you saw a friend or a classmate who had something that you don't have but you really wanted? Okay, let's start our story now. This is the story of Munika the pig. A long time ago, a cow had 2 calves on a big farm where many vegetables were grown. The older calf was named Big Red, and his younger brother was named Little Red. When they were very young, they enjoyed watching the farmer and his family and the other animals on the farm. They especially liked to watch the little pig playing around the farm all by himself. His name was Munika. Big Red and Little Red were always together and enjoyed many days running in the cool grass and exploring the farm and relaxing in the shade underneath the big trees. But when they got older, the farmer trained Big Red and Little Red to pull a cart. Soon they had to work very hard every day. They pulled a cart whenever the family wanted to travel to the town. They pulled a heavy plow in the hot sun so the farmer could grow the vegetables. They pulled a cart heavily loaded with vegetables to sell at the market, and then they pulled the cart, heavily loaded with all of the items the family bought, back to the farm. At the end of the day, their muscles hurt from all the hard work they did. But Munika never did any work. He happily trotted around the farm, playing and rolling in the mud every day. And he was fed with rice and tasty food, just like the food the farmer's family ate. He got to eat some really delicious food. Little Red noticed this and said to his brother, "You and I have to pull all the heavy loads for the farmer every day, and all they give us for our hard work is cheap grass and straw to eat. And look at that pig, that Munika. He's being fed all the very best and most delicious food. He gets everything he wants. He doesn't have to work hard. Why is he being treated so much better than we are?" Big Red said, "My dear brother, don't be jealous of him. It's not good for you to feel envy. It makes you feel terrible. Plus, you don't have to be jealous of anyone. You never know what will happen to them in the future. But you will have a good life because you are kind, caring, and helpful. Do you know the farmer's daughter will be married soon to a young man in the nearby town? Munika is being given such nice food to fatten him so he will be eaten by the guests at the wedding. Just wait, soon you'll see the guests coming, and you'll see that pig will get pulled out of the barn by his legs and killed and cooked over a fire. So don't envy poor Munika. Be content with your simple food. It will give you a long and healthy life." A few days later, sure enough, the guests began to arrive. Poor Munika was killed and cooked, and his meat was made into several types of food. Big Red said to his little brother, "Did you see what happened to Munika? I knew what would happen with Munika feasting on all that rich food. 100 times better, or 1,000 times better, is our simple food of grass and straw, because it doesn't harm us and we can live a good and long life." And that's the end of our story. Now I want to ask you a few questions about the story to make sure you understood everything. The first question is, what did Munika get that Little Red wanted? Delicious food, right? And what kind of life did Munika have on the farm that Little Red wanted? It was to play and not have to work hard, right? The third question is, was Little Red feeling jealous of Munika? Yes. Was Munika lucky that he had such a good food and a nice, easy life? No. At first maybe, but not in the end. And the next question is, Big Red said that Little Red would have a good life, remember? But what did he say was the reason that he'd have a good life? It's because Little Red is kind and caring and helpful, right? And the last question is, what did Big Red teach Little Red at the end of the story? To be happy with what he has, to be happy with the simple food of grass and straw, right? So what did the Buddha teach us about jealousy? He said that you should not dislike what you have received, and you should not envy what others have. So let's talk about how we can do this, how we can not envy what others have. First, what does jealousy or envy mean exactly? It means wishing to have something that someone else has, or wishing to be like someone else. In the story, Little Red wanted to have the tasty food that Munika had, and he wanted to have that easy life of being free to play all day. But people also sometimes feel like Little Red. They feel envious of others who have a lot of money, or that don't have to work hard, or get to do what they want to do anytime. They have a lot of free time. Do you know anyone who has a new toy that you don't have? Or someone that has some nice new clothes that you don't have? Or do you know someone who's really popular in school, or who's really the best in a sport like swimming or gymnastics or soccer? And do you ever feel, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could be like he is or like she is. Or I wish I could get new clothes like that. Or she gets all the attention. No one's paying attention to me. Or she got a better score than I got. Or he always can play better than I can. Why can't I be like him? It's an uncomfortable feeling, right? We want what someone else has, and we're comparing what we have with what someone else has, and then we think that what we have is not so great. Then we feel terrible and irritable that what we have isn't good enough. Envy makes us not appreciate what we have. We want something else that we don't have. We can't get it, so we feel unhappy. Also, envy might make us feel unfriendly or even angry toward the person who has something better than what we have. We might think, or we might even say, unkind things about him or her, so we feel terrible. Like what Big Red said in the story, it's not good for you to feel envy. It makes you feel terrible. But what would happen if we had everything we want? Do you think we'd still feel envy? Yes, because even if we were rich and very pretty or very handsome, the best on the team, the very best scores, or there's always someone who has more. There's always someone who has something better than what we have. So envy can come up even if we're very, very lucky. You know, even the richest and the most popular and the most successful people feel envy, because even they find that sometimes someone else has what they don't have. So do we want to live our lives often getting upset because of our jealousy? Of course not. So how can we avoid it? First, we can learn to enjoy what we already have. Think about the good things that we have right now. All the nice people that we know, the good family that we have, our good health, and a nice place to live. So enjoying what we already have is called contentment. And also we should notice when we feel irritable when someone has something we like. That's the feeling of jealousy, and that's when we should remember Munika. Remember what happened to Munika? Who was really more lucky, Munika or the hard-working Little Red and Big Red? Munika was lucky at first, but then not so lucky. Big Red and Little Red were really luckier than he was. Similarly, someone you know might be lucky right now because they have something special, but in the future we might be much luckier than he or she is. If we live according to Dharma, being kind to everyone and not hurting others, then we'll be successful and we'll get everything we need. Maybe we won't always get exactly what we want, but we will get what we need. So when we get that feeling of jealousy, we can remember Munika. But also, we can learn to feel happy for others who are lucky in some way. Is that possible? Yes. Just like when we're glad when our best friends do well at something, like when they do well in sports or on a test or when they get something that they really wanted. We can be happy for other people too, not just our best friends, but others when they get something nice or when something great happens to them. So then we can feel better while we're feeling glad for them rather than having that terrible feeling of jealousy. So we learn to think like this. Let others enjoy what they have. The other person could be like Munika. He seems lucky now, but who knows what will happen? We never know what will happen in our future or in another person's future. So the next time we see someone who has something that we want, remember the story of Munika, and that way we can get rid of our envy and live a happier life. So that's all for now. Let's wish that all beings everywhere be happy and peaceful.